I grew up in Skokie, Illinois. My mom made sure we went to Mass probably 3-4 times a week. And after high school, kind of dropped away from the church or from going to Mass or anything. About the age of 19, I started in law enforcement, actually. I was a police dispatcher, and I did that until 3 days after I was 21. I was sworn in as a policeman. Over my time in the police career, I've probably seen things that nobody should have to witness in life. As I say, nobody calls the police to come to their house when their kid just got straight A's on the report card. The years and years of that have definitely taken effect on me. Early on, I kind of used that as an excuse for my, what I'll call riotous living. I lived in darkness for probably my 20s to my 30s, downward spiral. That went along till Debbie, my wife Debbie, and I met. We're married in 1977. And I always put marks in my life that I would finally grow up when I got married or when I had my first child or this or that. And those milestones came and went. Working in the police department, typically like the 3 to 11 shift, would get out at 11 o'clock at night and go out to the bars, and sometimes it was 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Sometimes you'd find bars till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Keep in mind, I was married with 4 kids at this time. My life was on a downhill spiral. There was no question about it. In fact, the first 4 or 5 years we were married didn't look like we were going to make it. Debbie went to her high school reunion, made acquaintance with an old friend of hers, Carol Wilson. Carol was a strong Christian gal, and over time, Carol ministered to Debbie. I remember early on when Debbie was first speaking with Carol Wilson and how she just longed to have a family like the Wilsons. Just the love and the caring and the harmony that they had in their family. And my wife longed to have that in her family. Carol's husband, Rick Wilson, starts ministering to me. And I was very standoffish. And Rick wasn't what you would call a Bible thumper or that. He was just a nice guy, kind, caring. On one occasion, I remember, we had recently moved into this house and I was going to college and working part-time jobs and working at the time. And we needed an oven, a built-in oven in our house. And we bought the oven and it sat in the kitchen until I had time to put it in. And one day I come home and hear the oven's in. And I asked Debbie, who put the oven in? And she said, Rick did. It wasn't anything he really said. It was just the way he acted and the way he cared and the way he presented himself. Something that I wasn't used to. What Debbie saw in Carol Wilson and her family, I started to see in Rick Wilson and the men's retreats I went on and things like that. And I just knew on my own power, I couldn't bring about lasting change. And finally, I succumbed and was saved. And it wasn't until then that I got on my knees or I asked for God to take control of my life that things began to change. In 2001, we moved here to Carpentersville and started attending Fox Valley Church in about 2002. Over the years, the church has certainly ministered to Debbie and I. And we became more and more involved in men's ministry, women's ministry, Bible studies, life groups. Retired about 5 years ago as the police chief of Woodstock. Had some time on my hands. I came to the realization that I had to do something with my life after I'm now retired. I knew that I had to let my light shine in the world. A lady at church suggested maybe I get involved in this Wayside Cross Ministry, a homeless shelter in Elgin. So I became involved in that, and for the past 3-4 years, I've led a Bible study on Wednesday mornings. I think back 40 some years ago, Rick and Carol Wilson, how they let their light shine. And I think sometimes I waste my time going to the Wayside Center and teaching Bible studies, that this stuff is just going over these guys' head. But I'll never forget the perseverance that Rick Wilson had with me, and how he just coming, as much as I tried to push him away, he just kept coming back and coming back and coming back. Like I said, I don't want to show up on Judgment Day with a low golf handicap or trophy fish or meticulous yard. I'd rather show up that says I took the word to the hungry, to the afflicted. I brought light into a dark life that they're living now that I experienced. And I go back to the verse for Light for the Future that Pastor Tom says, if you pour yourself out for the hungry and you satisfy the desires of the afflicted, then your light will shine in the darkness and your night will become like the noonday.